And yes, we are in fact underway.
Okay, let's rock and roll with the Magic Online Championship.
All right, on the bottom of your screen, we have Hiroki, and looks like he's gone for aggressive, probably mono red deck. Some of these splash black, but for the most part, it's a mono red base, and he is attacking for 3 damage into a tapped Hollowed Fountain. It looks like either a flash aggressive deck for David Kaplan, or it could be a blue-white-red control list. We're going to have to see what he plays here, as he does have 2 mana of any of his colors here, I'm assuming. I'm sure he'd rather not take any more damage here, so let's see if he's got an answer. It looks like he does. It's a Searing Spear, and it's going to take down the Stromkirk Noble before that gets out of hand, and he's going to take 2 from Ash Zealot. Now, there wasn't a pre-combat play from Hiroki, so no haste creature here. In fact, no creature at all. He just passes the turn back with Kaplan on 15 life. All right. Kaplan plays a Hollowed Fountain, untapped, takes 2 damage, and passes a turn. So he has something lined up here. If he's willing to take 2 damage versus mono red, it's an important spell he has. All right, immediately to combat for Hiroki, he's going to bash with his Ash Zealot. It's going to drop Kaplan down to 11. Kaplan doesn't play anything to prevent that damage. And it's a Pillar of Flame. That's going to target Gooba Fish. He goes down to 9. It resolves. And nothing else. Kaplan plays another untapped Hollowed Fountain and just passes a turn. He's now down to 7. And things are going to start getting pretty sketchy for him. It looks like Hiroki's thinking about if he wants to throw maybe a Searing Spear at him, but he decides not to. First main phase here for Hiroki. He's surveying the board. 5 cards in hand, 3 mountains on board, and an Ash Zealot. If Kaplan has plans on using a Snapcaster Mage. All right, so it's a Burning Tree Emissary. That's first up. Its trigger goes on the stack, so now he has a green, and a red, and a follow-up Flinthoof Boar with red left over.
Thank you so much.
To give it haste if he wants. Taking a little pause here. Again, 4 open mana and 6 cards in hand for Kaplan. He's on 7 life, but you got to figure he has something. He played that untapped Hollowed Fountain the last 2 turns in a row for a total of 4 damage. Sure enough, hasted Flinthoof Boar plus Ash Zealot are going to try to enter the red zone here.
I think.
Oh, Restoration Angel. So that makes a lot of sense for untapped mana. It's going to jump in front of the Flinthoof Boar and eat it.
Okay.
But that's going to put Kaplan down to 5, but he still has his Restoration Angel.
Okay, FYI.
Yeah.
I have a sneaking feeling that in David Kaplan's deck, unless things have shifted, there are some feeling of dread.
I have seen that, at least before.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that those are in.
All right, Stromkirk Noble goes on the stack. It's going to resolve. Let's see if Yamashita has any actual attacks here. He does. He's going to swing with both creatures. He could easily have something like, another Restoration Angel perhaps for Kaplan? It is. Now, it's not able to blink that first angel, but that's not relevant here. He's just got 2 awesome blockers, and he is going to block both creatures. Still at a very precarious life total, sitting on 5. A Searing Spear could drop him down to 2. But right now, he's going to lose both of his creatures potentially, unless he has that Searing Spear to take out the Restoration Angel with damage on it. He does indeed. And he decides to take out the Restoration Angel. That's an interesting decision, as he's just 1 more burn spell away from killing David Kaplan, but he figures he better keep control of the board here and keep his Ash Zealot alive. All right, David Kaplan draws his card for the turn, plays a land, passes it back. 2 creatures on board for Hiroki. Only 1, a Restoration Angel for Gooba Fish, but it's a Boros Reckoner now for Hiroki. Does Kaplan have a counter for this? It doesn't have haste. It's not going to do any damage right now, but it's a problem. Not an easy card to block.
Indeed.
And it looks like it is going to get dissipated. That opens the door for an attack from Hiroki, but not a very good one, and he decides to decline it. Passes the turn back. Now Hiroki's still on 3 lands total.
Yeah, this is starting to look like just what Kaplan needs to get back into this one, because
it's close, but he's getting very, very there, yeah. He's got 4 cards in hand, 6 lands on the battlefield. A Rakdos Cackler for Hiroki's. Not very impressive here. Still no attacks to be had. This could easily be a Sphinx's Revelation for 3 on end step from Goobafish. He's got to be a little careful, but with only 2 mana untapped, he can't die here.
That's right. You're looking at another Searing Spear or something, which would only put Kaplan to 2.
In fact, it is a Sphinx's Revelation for 3. Jumps him back up to 8 and 6 cards. That's an important turn of events here for Kaplan.
Massive moment over in Jan van der Vecht against Eken. Craterhoof Behemoth from DZY. 10-10 trample.
Whoa.
4 trampling, 6-6 Flying Spirits via Lingering Souls. Yeah, okie doke then.
All right, back over here. And Kaplan played a couple of Thought Scours on himself and played a land tapped and just passed the turn back. So Hiroki's sizing things up, but he's in a pretty tough spot. Looks like he figures, well, I just got to battle with everybody here, so he sends in the whole team. Is this another Restoration Angel? It is the 3rd one of the game for David Kaplan. He's going to have 2 excellent blocks here. Looks like he's going to take out the Cackler and the Ash Zealot on this attack. Yep, both of them are down, and things have swung firmly in David Kaplan's favor. He does need to eventually turn it around to actually win, but it should be fairly trivial at this point. He still has 6 cards in hand, tons of mana, and 2 vastly superior creatures to Hiroki's board. Now, we do know that Hiroki's not on 4 lands yet. That leaves things like Hellrider open that can get damage through even if there are blockers, but the fact that he attacked all in with his creatures last turn lends us to the idea that it's not as likely that he has a Hellrider as he probably would have wanted to wait. Kaplan decides to play it safe. He debated on if he should attack, and he decided not to. Now here's a Stomping Ground, and it is a Hellrider. So Hiroki wishes he had the Ash Zealot and the Cackler still, but at least he has a Hellrider now. Oh man, is this a big Sphinx's Revelation for Kaplan? It looks like it. It is, in fact.
Yeah, that's your backbreaker.
He didn't even let it go on the stack. He's like, fine, you got it.
Okay, well, I'm going to take you to DZY. And in fact, at that moment, DZY wins that game. So instead, I'm going to take you to Butakov, who is our overnight leader. Let's show you his match. He's at the top of the screen, and as you can see, he's made a pretty excellent start against Painas, that's George Pinazzo, because Butakov, courtesy of this Arbor Elf and a pair of Centaur Healer, has gained 6 life, which means he's currently up on a nice and healthy 24 life points, you can see up there. Now on the other side, there's all kinds of what we might call evolve and quasi-evolve going on, because you've got Champion of the Parish as a 4-4, you have a Champion of the Parish as a 3-3, and you have an Experiment 1 as a 2-2. Perhaps most crucially, you have this guy, the Frontline Medic, which of course with Battalion means indestructibility. So we are back with Pioneers. It's turn 4 here. This will be game 2, I'm fairly confident, looking at the time clocks there. Don't yet have information on who won game 1. As you can see, Butakov has Mulch and also Grizzly Salvage in his graveyard right now. So Painas has Cavern of Souls, that's set to human. You see there. Let's see what he does with this Stomping Ground. It's going to be Mayor of Averbrook. We've already seen that, and look, there go the triggers. So, Champion of the Parish leaps upwards, 6-6 now, 5-5. It's a formidable army. comfortably outclassing these two Centaur healers at the top of your screen. In comes the team, and you see the battalion trigger go on. So now all 4 of those attackers are indestructible, and so too is the Mayor of Averbrook, even though it's not part of this attack. So where do the Centaur healers go? Just going to put one in the way of the largest champion of the parish. Butarkov takes a ton of damage. He falls to 10 life. He's going to use Arbor Elf to untap Temple Garden. We're going to see Grizzly Salvage now. Does Pinus have anything to say about that right now with Rootbound Crag mana open? 5 cards in hand for Butarkov. 3 for Pinus. Butarkov looking for answers to a very, very sizable opposing board, especially with that frontline medic over there, granting the indestructibility. So Butarkov will be busy looking at a collection of cards. You see here cards being revealed over on the far end, and now into the graveyard we see Overgrown Tomb, Woodland Cemetery, a forest, Thragtusk goes into the graveyard, and that Grizzly Salvage has now resolved. So we're back with Butarkov in his first main phase. Pretty confident he's not going to be doing much attacking anytime soon. But let's see what he does with 6 cards in hand. Currently 4 mana plus a 5th if you want to use the Arbor Elf, though currently he may need that Arbor Elf back. We'll see. He's going to use it again for Temple Garden. So bonus mana available. Godless Shrine taps. 3, 4, 5. Unburial Rites. Here comes Thragtusk. Butarkov will gain 5 life. He will go back up to 15. And although that's obviously a terrific card, Thragtusk brilliant in Standard, as it has been from the get-go, it is nonetheless, with that indestructibility from the frontline medic, not going to be great news. It's going to be very hard for Butarkov to come back from this right now. Currently at 15 life against George Penazzo. Penazzo currently just about in touch. 21 points. He's 21 points behind Butarkov. So a 4-0 here against a 1-3 from Butarkov would see them level on points. So it's not impossible. And remember, these pairings are not Swiss, so players are playing pretty much anyone within the tournament. So there are lots of wide gaps and some people jockeying for position as well. I can just tell you that should you be interested, on Marshall's screen I can see 153 land and some Planeswalkers.
3 Planeswalkers on the table here.
Okay, what match are you watching, just out of interest?
That's Reed Duke versus Arsenal Munch versus Sean McLaren. Yeah.
Right, and so McLaren's in touch. He's on 27 points, 15 adrift of the lead right now.
Looks like Reed decided to play Jund to the surprise of absolutely nobody.
Yeah, he was pretty confident that's what he wanted to go with. And on the other side, Arsenal Munch is blue-white control, Esper control.
Esper control. He just had a Jace Memory Adept on the table, and I see a couple of Drown Yards.
All right, so Pinus here with his 2 champions, the Frontline Medic, the Mayor, and the Experiment 1, which has been pretty outclassed by the rest of his team, in all fairness. It's a 3-3 right now. 1 because of Evolve, and 1 because it turns out to be human after a fashion. And we're going to see a Searing Spear. And now Lightning Mauler comes down. Now here's action, triggering from Champion of the Parish, because again, Lightning Mauler's human. Synergy all the way in this deck. Where will the Soul Bond go? That's the question. Paired with Mayor of Averbrook, that gives the Lightning Mauler haste. And that is enough. Butarkov bites the dust. 1-0 to George Penazzo.
All right, we have a little alpha striking happening on this side. So right now this beast is being targeted by the ability from Kessig Wolf Run, making it into a 7-3 beast. But Sean has 5 cards in hand and has the ability to deal with it, you would assume. Let's see what he does, though. Right now, Reed's got 24 cards in library. Here's a Tribute to Hunger. This would have Arsenal Munch, instead of taking 7, actually gain 3 life. He has 2 active, I believe 1, 2, 3, pay, 1, 2, 3, pay. Yeah, 2 active Nephalia Drown Yards. He has 3 of them on the battlefield, but we're going to see Reed Duke use a Abrupt Decay on his own creature just to prevent the life gain here. As he still has Garrick Primal Hunter and Liliana teaming up on Sean here.
Three match results are in. David Kaplan defeats Hiroki Yamashita by 2-0.
Wow.
So that's one of the contenders.
That one finished up
losing
quickly.
there. Yep, Jorge Pinazzo, George, we saw him beat Dmitry Butakov. That was game 2, and that was the match. So Pinazzo defeats Butakov, and Sam Pardy inflicts a 2-1 defeat on Maltico. So Melda Home also has a loss early. I still have going Eakin, which is Andreas Eklund, currently tied for second place with Home, who's already lost. Butakov, the leader, already lost. So we have DZY against Eakin coming your way after what is starting to look...
Well, so there was just a Sphinx's Revelation resolved, and an interesting interaction because, you know, Reed made it so that his beast was going to be 7 power, and Sean could have taken that amount of damage, but he decided to get rid of the beast with his Tribute to Hunger. Reed decided to kill his own beast with Abrupt Decay to prevent any life gain. But interestingly, Garrick was active on 5 counters at the time, so Sean had a vested interest in getting rid of that massive 7 power beast because Reed could draw 7 off of it. Now we have Augur of Bolas facing down another beast, and this is basically a game that now revolves around, interestingly, Kessig Wolfrun and Nephalia Drown Yard. We can take a look at Kessig Wolfrun here.
Yeah, it turns out that beast is potentially quite large.
That's right. It got up to 7 last time.
Yeah, it can be +9 right now, I think.
Yeah.
No, +10.
10, yeah. He just played a land too, so.
That's pretty savage.
All right, ability from Liliana of the Veil. She just went ultimate, Rich.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
-6. Separate. So this is what's going to happen. Separate all permanents target player controls into 2 piles. That player sacks all permanents in the pile of his or her choice. One of the things also that happens that can be confusing is you're forced to choose a pile.
Yep.
The pile that you choose
goes away.
Yeah. A lot of times people think, well, I'll pick the one that I want to keep,
and then coach, and then
and then
bye.
You're actually the one that leaves. So what you see right now is there's a lot of permanents on the battlefield, mostly lands here. In fact, all lands.
It's kind of like Survivor
and an
Series,
Augur.
isn't it? It's like you have been chosen, you are not worthy, you're out the door.
Yeah, auf Wiedersehen.
Yeah.
Right. So right now what's happening is the pile is being formed here, and we see that there's only one creature, and it's the only non-land creature on the battlefield for Arsenal Munch. All right, so a little bit of swapping around. There's 5 lands on the bottom. Looks like there's 7 permanents on the top. Probably you just want to do a straight split of 6/6 here.
This is crazy. I've got another result in for you. Oscar Jones has lost 2-0 to Daniel Botov, which means Butakov, number 1, has lost. Home, joint second, lost. Yamashita, 4th, lost. Jones, 5th, lost.
Wow.
Eklund, 1 down, in trouble against DZY.
Jeez. So this could get shaken up significantly within the next couple of rounds.
Yeah.
This pile is still being... Oh, no, Arsenal Munch is deciding a pile. So it is, in fact, that he's going to take 1, 2, 3, 4. He's going to take the bigger one. He could have... Reed could have split it 6/6, but decided to go 7/5 and put better stuff in the 5. So those all go away, leaving him with 6 lands and an Augur of Bolas here. Also, he made sure to put the untapped lands in one pile. Those are the ones that are gone now. And it's going to leave Arsenal Munch, wow, with just 2 untapped colorless. And that is going to pave the way for a Rakdos' return for 6, which is his entire hand. And that's it.
Wow.
Reed Duke wins that one.
Reed Duke takes down Arsenal Munch, Sean McLaren, who was tied for 5th, another loser in the top half of the field. The only winner so far in the top half of the field is Sam Pardee. He gets 4 points, taking him from 27 to 31. The match I have on screen right now is pretty crazy. It features Eken 1-0 down to DZY Jan van der Vecht of the Netherlands. And Eken, as you can see, has quite a lot of stuff on board, to put it mildly. There's a Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, who's currently indestructible there thanks to Frontline Medic. There's an Avacyn's Pilgrim, the Frontline Medic herself. There's Nearheath Pilgrim, which is paired up, which gives lifelink, both of those two. You've got a Mare of Avabrook. You've got this Huntmaster of the Fells, which is paired with Silverblade Paladin, so that has double strike. You got this Silverblade Paladin, and you have, oh, thank goodness, an ordinary creature. It's just a wolf. Meanwhile, DZY on the other side has Thragtusk, double spirit, that's courtesy of Lingering Souls, and a Rock's Faithmender. And now, bang! Angel of Serenity hits the battlefield.
That sounds devastating.
Well, yeah, except, I mean, it's going to get rid of less than half of the opposition. It's like, I mean, it's a start, sure. Just a moment ago, I can tell you that DZY, you see him on 22. He was on 46 life approximately 90 seconds ago.
Wow.
So there's quite a lot going on in this one, it's fair to say. So DZY has this triggered ability on the stack. It lets you exile up to 3 other target creatures, so obviously not the Angel of Serenity itself, from the battlefield, and or creature cards from graveyards. The reason, by the way, DZY got up to such a huge amount of life is because of this Trostani, Selesnia's Voice,
wow,
in his graveyard that was in play for a significant number of turns during the early part of this game. So, plenty for DZY to think about here. It's got plenty of time left on its clock, 13.5 minutes, so just about halfway for him. More time for Eken, who, let's be honest, is playing a deck that is designed to spew permanents onto the table nice and quick and get games done fast. So where is this Angel of Serenity going? So much to choose from. Choices, choices, choices. And what we end up with is Mare of Avabrook, then Silverblade Paladin, and the Frontline Medic.
That sounds aggressive.
Yep, and now it looks like a couple of the spirit tokens are going to fly in and put Eken back down to 17.
Does DZY have any cards left?
He has no cards in his hand. They're both in top deck mode.
But he has plenty to do with his mana thanks to that Gavany Township?
Absolutely, he does. Ability from Huntmaster of the Fells, because the no spells were cast. Ravager comes up, 2 to opponent, 2 damage to kill off one of the spirits.
That's pretty important.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, those spirits were going to be they were going to get huge quick if DZY doesn't draw any relevant spells. He can just start dumping counters on them.
Township again.
Yeah.
And this is another good example of what we call a mana sink that you were talking about yesterday. For
yes.
The fact that, okay, I've only got 1 card in hand, I'm not doing anything with it, but for 5 mana, Gavany Township is going to put a +1 counter on all my guys. Not shabby at all. So right now, 9 creatures on the battlefield. And in the air, the Angel of Serenity is coming in, and we're going to see Gavany Township activate. So it's going to become 6-7 and 2-2. And that will put Eken down to 9. And talk about completing the sweep. If Eken loses this, Batarkov, Eken, Maltico, HT, Pyromaniac, Arsenal Munch, they're all going to burn in round 1.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Eken does not attack, passes the turn. DZY with his 1 card in hand. You want to see something really sporting? In the
Yeah.
booth right now is
Yeah.
David Kaplan talking to BDM.
Yeah.
And David just walked past the screen and suddenly realized the match is on and has just averted his gaze to make sure he can't get any information about future opponents. The more I see Kaplan, the more I like him.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Such a good guy.
Remember, he's Canadian.
That tends to help.
He has to legally be nice.
Legally be nice?
It's a thing they have up there.
Is that like a bylaw, or is that actually from Parliament?
I don't know.
From
I've only
René
been up
Levesque.
Boulevard.
Yeah. For those wondering about the reference, we were staying at René Levesque Boulevard during Pro Tour gate crash in Montreal. We then moved to Quebec City, and our hotel was on René Levesque Boulevard. We're like, what is this? Seriously? And it turns out René Levesque is
he was
like
the nicest guy in Canada.
The mayor of somewhere?
No, I think he was like instrumental in the early stuff in Quebec.
Okay.
He's a pro-Quebec guy.
Fair enough.
Go Habs, I suppose.
Yeah.
I got a zombie fight going on my side.
As it happens, but
fair.
Just so you know. People will write to me about that if I don't correct you, so. All right, so Restoration Angel is paired with the Near Heath Pilgrim. We still have the Angel of Serenity as a 6-7 that's about to be a 7-8 because Gavarnie Township, that's what it does. Already, DZY has this Faith Mender that's a 3-7, this Thragtusk that's a 7-5. Ugh! Eakin, what are you doing? You're down to 7. You've got 7 creatures in play, and you're being thoroughly outclassed. Wow. 2 cards in hand to none for DZY, so Eakin does at least have currently perfect information. The trouble is, the perfect information he has is that Gavarnie Township is making the other side look very, very large. He does have lifelink going on, which is kind of cool. Paired with Near Heath Pilgrim, this Restoration Angel. So is there any kind of attack? There is. Restoration Angel. The coast is clear. There are no flying blockers. And that will take Eakin from 7 back up to 10 life, as you can see here. And then Wolves are plenty. Here's a Mayor of Averbrook. Still a tense one, this. DZY draws his 1 card. 1 card apiece, 17-10. Clock ticking down, DZ leading. So now, where does he go? 9 mana, 5 of which he'd like to hang about for Gavarnie Township. The thing is, Eakin is getting to the point where he's close to being able to come back the other way and just 3-2, 2-2, 3-2 lifelink, 3-4 lifelink, 3-3, 1-1, pair of 2-2s. But dear Lord, this Angel of Serenity's big. So let's see, has DZ come up with, Sever the Bloodline. Okay, Sever the Bloodline. Flashback is 7 on that. And now here's Unburial Rites.
Oh, man.
I'm going to have Trostani back. It's Life Gain Deluxe. Angel of Serenity is going to come into the red zone as a 7-8. Eakin goes to 3. Big turn for Eakin. I think we could see the result box around here quite soon. He still has Restoration Angel back as a potential flying blocker. More Thalia action. He had a replacement. DZY has Sever the Bloodline ready to go in the graveyard if he wants. But at 17, and with all those creatures on the other side, maybe he wants to try and get another creature into play. Let's see. No, it is going to be the Sever, by the looks of things. Seven mana. What are you doing with it? Yep, here comes Sever the Bloodline, and it is for Restoration Angel. So that would mean no flying blocker. And there's your result. DZY takes the game and the match. Butarkov down, Ekan down, Maltico down, HT down, Pyromaniac down, Arsenal Munch down, Sampardi won in the top half. What do you got going on, Marshall?
All right, so on my screen here, I have Lord Nazgul on the top. That's Ari Malka, and he is battling against Jaxad. That's Jasek on the bottom. And, yeah, looks like Junk versus Jund. So similar decks. One thing that you guys will notice, too, that I've done here, just to kind of show you. Whoa, actually, let's just take a second here. Crater Hoof Behemoth looks like it's entering the battlefield. There are 2 Thrag Tusks already. They would have 8 power and trample, along with 8/8 trample, haste, Crater Hoof Behemoth. Jaxad's tanking it. It's going to resolve. Ability goes on the stack. 2 cards in hand for Jaxad. This would be a great time to finish off that first Thrag Tusk. Jaxad sitting on 17 life. Ari, he's on 12. Jaxad doesn't quite have enough to kill him, but Ari sure does. Assuming that the 2 Thrag Tusks and the Crater Hoof Behemoth actually get the bonus here from the triggered ability on Crater Hoof Behemoth, he's going to have plenty. -24, -6, 18. Jaxad's only at 17. So this could be a potentially lethal Crater Hoof Behemoth here for Ari. He also has Sever the Bloodline in his graveyard. He decided not to do that. He just wants to run out Behemoth, try to get a victory here. All right, ability from Falconwrath Aristocrat. Sacrifice a creature. He sacrifices the wolf token. That's going to make this an indestructible but tapped Falconwrath Aristocrat. So he has now got Morbid. I'm assuming we're going to be seeing a Tragic Slip somewhere here. There's a Tragic Slip. It's going to take out the Crater Hoof Behemoth, but the trigger is still going to resolve. That leaves 14 power of trample on the battlefield thanks to these 2 Thrag Tusks, but it's not lethal anymore.
Sorry, I was just focusing on Brian David Marshall for a moment, and then I zoned back in to hear the words 14 power of trample. I'm like, pardon?
Yeah, and that's after after it was properly dealt with, as it was going to be even more than that. It was going to be 24. You have to settle for a measly 14. Now, the question is, what is Jaxad's answer here? It's on his main phase. He's going to his attacks, and he's going to attack with both creatures. That's going to bring Lord Nazgul down to 8. Or, excuse me, down to 4. Does he have a way to finish him off here? He just passed the turn back. It could have just been a desperation attack, but he needs something here. He has to deal with both Thrag Tusks. Oh, mana's being tapped. Restoration Angel's going to come in. It's going to bounce. It's going to blink Ravager of the Fells. That's going to turn it back into Huntmaster of the Fells, gain him 2 life, and give him 2 blockers here. He will still have the Falconwrath Aristocrat in the air to provide lethal damage, though we know that there's a Sever the Bloodline still in Ari's graveyard, so he can take care of that problem and leave himself almost dead, but not quite. Let's see if the Restoration Angel or the Huntmaster are going to block. All right, it's going to be the the Huntmaster. So 2 chump blocks here. That can leave things like Searing Spear as potential outs. The Huntmaster is going to get sacrificed to the Falconwrath Aristocrat, but it probably won't matter. As Sever the Bloodline exiles, it doesn't care about power. All right, there it is. He's going to target the Falcon Wrath Aristocrat. It hits the exiled zone, as does Sever the Bloodline. And there's an Arbor Elf to follow up. Not a great one, but it's more than he needs here. Jats has at 5. He has to be able to at least block those 2 Thrag Tusks to not die. If he has something like a Searing Spear or anything, he can win the game right now. He's tapping out. Whoop. It was Bonfire of the Damned, and that's going to be lethal as Restoration Angel hits the red zone and finishes it off for Jacksad. Now, I think that was game 3. It was.
Okay.
So that's it. That's the round.
That's the round.
Wow, it looks like we had a lot of shakeups there.
Didn't